Zack is a tricky character to talk about. He's one of those characters that's great in the series, he's important as everyone else, but gets very little to do. Zack's the Scotty of the show or the Dr. Weir. He's one of the MMPR cast members I would love to come back to the series. He's a perfect open slate to do a lot of different things.
Putty on the brain.
It's your dual series comedy episode. Billy and Zack are cursed by a spell that makes the other Rangers look like putties. So when they go into a fight, they don't know who was who. It showed how much Zack grew over the first season. While in the early days, this would have totally freaked out him and Billy, even though it was weird when they first saw it in class. He didn't go insane and get everyone thrown out. Both Billy and Zack tried to figure out what was going on. They even experiment with what worked and didn't, like when Trini morphed. The episode had some good internal logic, even involving Bulk and Skull that didn't make them annoying. It was a good enemy plan too.
The Green Candle Part 2.
While Zack doesn't get to do much in MMPR, this is where he shined being second in command of the team. Tommy was losing his powers, the clock was ticking, Jason was pissed off that he could do nothing to save those powers. So for that brief moment, he was going to go back and get his powers. But that was going to be the wrong move. That was risking Tommy's life rather than only his powers, which Zack stepped in and stopped Jason, reminding him that the other fight was more important. It also allowed people to see the bad guys win on PR. It was detriment to fans, people loved the Green Ranger, but it left the door open for him coming back in the future. Plus, it showed the flaws of Jason when his emotions clouded his judgment, and Zack shined as a leader. I really wanted to put this as my #1 favorite choice, but it was only that small moment for the episode. I didn't think it'd be fair.
An oyster stew.
Such an odd way to end the first season of MMPR. It's not really anything special beyond Tommy letting Zack use his shield. It was your standard date going bad episode, but progressed Zack and Tommy's side stories, especially after the crazy nonsense and foul play. I miss the times when Rangers aren't just Rangers. Bulk and Skull were part of the plot. Zack got to shine with both Angela and the monster fight. I'm still surprised they allowed a bootleg dealer even though he was really a monster. It still shows something negative.
Happy birthday, Zack.
For being only the 10th episode into MMPR, this is one of the good examples on how the writers hit their marks at storytelling. You have a completely different plot in the Jew Ranger footage, so how do you adapt this material for MMPR? Come up with a simple but entertaining plot for all 5 characters. It gave some backstory to Zordon, so we knew he wasn't always a floating head. Billy has the exploding cake machine for being funny. Everyone is toying with Zack, so he thinks they forgot. Even while in a slump, he can take on a monster, a solid character building episode, and one episode I would recommend to anyone who wanted to see PR for the first time.
Foul play.
Zack finally gets a crack at Angela on a date. What happens? A monster attacks the city at the same time. So Zack has to play musical chairs at the theater. You feel sorry for him. Every other time, Angela never gave him a chance. It was stupid that he didn't call off the date, but he knows he wouldn't have gotten another try. This is why I think Zordon never complains about issues like this. In later episodes, Zordon always said he never wanted their Ranger duties to ever interfere with their normal lives, so while Zack was going nuts, he still was focusing on the monster and came up with that plan to trick and stop him. It was also a good type of test.
A Pig Surprise.
I never liked the sequel to Pudgy Pig. The original footage and idea was fine, turning a pet pig into Pudgy Pig 2.0 so that the Rangers feel bad and don't want to hurt him. That was good. Reusing the stock footage was the wrong thing to do, but Zack was mainly there as a plot convenience. Anytime they needed to move the story along, he was late, he caught all the suspicious actions, put everything together, picks up the changing device. That's all he had to do in the episode. The episode was just too simple.
Bad reflection on you.
I don't know if you count this as a good thing or a bad thing, but Zack doesn't really have any bad episodes per se. He was very underutilized in a ton of episodes, so I want to focus on where I think he could have done better. I don't want to use the time when the actor left. That's not a fair way to judge the character use as negative. While this was a fine episode, it's one of the MMPR episodes that used the basic plot from the original Jew Ranger episode, figuring out how to get out of the tension which Bulk and Skull caused in order to stop a group of fake Rangers. Sadly, the only thing he did was think of the game that made Bulk and Skull plug their ears and cover their eyes. This is one of the drawbacks in having a large cast. You give most of the lines to 3 characters, and usually the last 2 get not much else. I still think the better thing the Rangers could have done was teleport out of the room, then morph. Not yell, "It's morphin' time," in the room.
To flee or not to flee?
I'm one of the people that doesn't really care for Zack's fear of bugs. It's not that it's a dumb fear. The first episode that featured it was a good episode. It's just the fact that these guys fight all these types of crazy monsters every single day. And in this case, it wasn't used. That's the problem with monsters being based off various stuff. It should freak him out, like Trini's Praying Mantis episode, but they usually ignore it. All that Zack really did was work on the fundraiser to save the juice bar going out of business. Now here's the thing I always think about. What do you blame more for lack of character use? The writer of the episode or the Japanese footage limiting the writer? That's a toss-up.
Song of Guitardo.
Now this episode shafted Zack. Kim and Zack were working on a song together. Zed took advantage of this, creating Guitardo. That's fine and all, but Zack gets captured and Tommy with Kim are the ones who saved the day. Why wasn't Zack the one to help them out? Yeah, Tommy's powers were failing, so he stayed behind, but he should have been the one to be captured. That would have made the stakes higher since he has no good protection anymore. Zack is a singer. It would have made more sense. At least I would have had all of them figure out a way to stop the monster. No, Zack again had one scene in the beginning and then the ending scene.
Power stealer.
I never understand why superheroes always have to go out of their way to say they've never met their secret identity when they get interviewed. It just makes them look like they're hiding something. Anyway, I think it's probably the worst use of Zack in the series when Season 2 started. Zack slowly got less and less stuff. He introduces his cousin, but that really didn't go anywhere. So it felt like he usually did one scene at the start of an episode and then had something to do in the ending of the episode. While he did save the day with switching the tape, not much else happens. Tommy and Kim, who were also tied up with him, got a fair bit of stuff to do in the episode. Even Ju 2 footage didn't get him to do much. It mainly focused on Billy inventions or Tommy losing his powers. Zack is really hard to judge, at least for me. What's stupid is that he was in roughly 70 PR episodes, longer than any season done, and still didn't get much to do. Zack excels at being the counselor for his friends, especially Jason. They have the close bond being sparring partners and thinking alike. So he helped him out in episodes like Missing Green. This is where I think Zack would be a great mentor for a PR season. He's experienced all the zany stuff and knows how to speak to people, encouraging them. What are your thoughts on Zack? What were your favorite episodes and worst episodes of him? I'm probably forgetting some episodes out there that I didn't like Zack in, but he has a really good track record. And if you have a suggestion on a future topic, leave a comment down below. Next week, I'll be going into Kim's good and bad episodes.